Sorry, my cat was making a weird noise. I was just checking on her. Anyways, I watched one more film today. This was 1994's Freedom on My Mind. It's a documentary. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 1994. It did not win. It was directed by Connie Field and Marilyn Mulford. Connie Field also directed the great documentary, Life and Times of Rosie the Riveter. I highly recommend you watch that film if you get a chance. It is brilliant and will really do a lot to destroy golden age thinking of post-war America. But anyways, Freedom on My Mind is mostly about the voter registration struggles in 1961 through 1964 in Mississippi, specifically Mississippi Summer and the delegation to Atlantic City that year. And it talks with several people who worked as voter registration advocates, including several, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so it spoke to several people who had worked on had worked during that summer. I'm having the worst time talking because it's midnight and I'm tired. And it mixed in those interviews with archival footage from Mississippi in the early 60s, as well as parts of the DNC that year. So there was that great speech by Fannie Lou Hamer featured, and essentially it shows how much has been gained, but also watching this film. So watching this film in 1994, I think the idea of hope and prosperity and how great things had gotten in the 30 years that had passed would have been something that's wonderfully to celebrate and be like, yeah, we're getting there. And then you look at it with another 20 years past, and in a post Voting Rights Act being gutted world, and the ramifications of what happens when the Voting Rights Act gets gutted, you see it in a totally different light, and it makes you sort of depressed that so many people sacrificed for so much, and then it all got just fucking destroyed. Not that it all got destroyed, but so many things that have progressed have, through policy, pushed backwards. And what is so terrifying, this is not a review right now of this movie, so much as why I have anxiety all the time and have trouble sleeping, is what's terrifying and what so many people don't seem to comprehend, both in those who support where our government is headed and those who are like, oh, what's the big deal? It's only 4 years. Policy is the big deal. Policy is what happens that affects people's lives. Policy is life and death for people. And policy changes can take decades, but they can also take decades to fix when a policy that is dangerous gets passed. And unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I'm not really sure anymore, the way America works, there's policy at the national level and there's policy at the freaking district level. And it's difficult to make changes in this country because of that, because you have to go district by district. And that's what these people working during Freedom Summer had to do. They had to go district per district and get these things changed. And it wasn't working. And that's why they had to pass a national act to make to say these things these districts were doing were unconstitutional. And just look how long it took marriage equality to pass. It's just super frustrating that, and then they'll try to say that an act that says these things are unconstitutional is unconstitutional, and it's like a snake eating itself, and it's terrifying. And I think about these things and how few people really understand how any of it works, and how few people I feel like have any integrity anymore, or maybe never did. And then I get really terrified, and then I just want to drink like myself to death. So that's where I'm at today. Yay! But watching films like this and seeing activists work so hard for something that they believe in and to try to be this change that they know needs to happen gives me hope that we still have people like this that are willing to work on change, and hopefully it's not as pessimistic as I feel, but sometimes it's hard to not just be pessimistic about everything. This film is beautiful, and it will make you, hopefully it will give you some hope, and it will show you how wonderful people can be, but also how terrible people can be. Like how the very first black person in Mississippi who went to try to register was shot dead by a state representative. That was Mississippi, right? But now I believe Mississippi has the most elected black officials because it's such a high, the population there is so high that once people are allowed to actually, I don't know, exercise their constitutional rights to vote, they get voted. So anyways, this was, I'm just rambling at this point. I need to go to bed. This is Freedom on My Mind. It's from 1994. If you don't have TCM and can't watch it on Watch TCM, it is also available to rent on Vimeo. And if you go to clarityfilms.org/freedom, you can learn more about the film, more about the filmmakers, and how to rent it. And I think it's in HD on Vimeo, so that's exciting. So anyways, Clarity Films is a distribution company from Berkeley. And they, I think, also distribute Rosie the Riveter. So you should watch both those films. They're great. And cry, and then stop crying and put yourself into action, and learn a lot, and try to impart your knowledge to other people so that they will also do better. That's what I try to do. So this was directed by Connie Field and Marilyn Mulford, 1994's Freedom on My Mind.